Learning is a lifetime process. I just have a few points I want to hit. A lot of times when I come up with these topics, it's because of something somebody said. And they were feeling really kind of down and, wanting to do all the things, watching us on YouTube and wanting to do all the things, but several reasons why they're not doing all the things. So both her and her husband, one being some health issues, the other being just fear of getting started in some things. And she said, and laziness. Well, that could be a part. I mean, I think, we all kind of have our lazy moments, and it's okay now and then, as long as your whole life is that way. And so I spent a lot of time sharing my thoughts with her on this topic, because I think sometimes we see people on YouTube, on Instagram, on Facebook, and we see people that they seem to have it all together and they're doing all the things. But I can guarantee you they are not doing all the things. They might be doing a lot of things, but they're not doing all the things. We try to keep things positive. It's not like anyone necessarily is trying to lie to anyone or make anybody believe their life is more perfect. But I think with most people, you're trying to focus on the positive. And so you want people to see the good things about doing this, about doing that, and encourage people. But you know what? It's just like that video about self-sufficiency isn't all sunshine and rainbows, and it's not. Sometimes we're going to have health problems that hold us back at different times in our lives, whether it be an injury or a sickness or anything. And sometimes we're going to be, especially if you're new, I remember when I was already very much a DIY kind of person. I've always been that way. Since I was a little kid, always liked to create stuff. But, when you learn about, oh, wow, that would be a good thing to do, but man, making soap, that sounds so scary. Pressure canning, that's so scary, because I've heard about people, their pressure canners blowing up, or somebody, killing their whole entire family and friends and neighborhood because of botulism. You guys know I'm being a smart aleck with that one. But anyway, but you know what I mean? There's a lot of fear in getting started in something new, especially when there's a lot of fear mongering going on about a lot of this stuff. Well, a lot of times there's reason for the fear mongering, because anything should be, okay, when you first start cutting stuff up in the kitchen, you don't hand a 3-year-old a knife and say, here, cut your own tomatoes. No, they got to learn. They got to start somewhere, because it's dangerous to give a 3-year-old a knife and expect them to cut their own tomatoes if they've had no education on it. So obviously, everything is a learning process, and we have to get over the fear. Or learning to drive, I was terrified of that too. What I'm trying to say is that, you can't compare yourself to everyone or anyone else. Wherever you're at in this growth period, or we're all growing, we're all learning. It's a never-ending process. Okay, that's important to know. That's why I titled this "Learning is a Lifetime Process." If you're like, wow, okay, I want to try all these things, I see this channel or that channel or Heidi doing. Well, you can't just assume you can jump in and just do it all at once. And that can be very intimidating and scary and make you just not even want to try. Believe me, I understand. So what I say is start with the thing that you most want to learn, because either you just want to, or it's something you think you need to do the most. Like for me, gardening, when it came to actually growing produce, the number one most important thing to me to grow was tomatoes. Tomatoes, because we use a lot of tomatoes through the year. And so that was the number one thing I wanted to grow, and the first thing I started with. And that was my focus for years. Tomatoes. Just tomatoes. Maybe once in a while we might, we had a little patch here, we might have grown some potatoes too as well, and they're pretty easy, but that was it. And I didn't stress myself about anything else until we just decided it was time to get more serious and try growing more stuff. You don't have to try growing everything at once. One thing at a time. Okay. And then once you feel good about that, add something new. I said, okay, what's the next thing? What's something else that I use a lot of and I would just really like to learn it, but I'm scared? Well, maybe that's the soap making, like I was talking about last week. Start simple. Don't do the complicated silliness. Just start simple with your 3 basic ingredients, your fat, your lye, your water. And just try it. Take all your safety precautions and then do it. But if it takes you a while to be able to get over the fear, that's okay. Don't let that bring you down. Maybe you just need to go ahead. You know what? I'm going to set the soap thing aside. Let me go ahead and focus on this thing over here instead. And I'm going to come back to this. That's what I did when it came to soap. It's like, I'm like, nope, going to come back to that. Going to come back. Same thing with pressure canning. Bought the pressure canner. Had the pressure canner a couple years before I finally used it. Because it took me a couple more years to just finally get over that fear. And once you do something once, when it comes to those kind of things, it gets easier and far less fearful. But you know what? You don't have to then. It's like, okay, I made soap. Now I got a pressure can. Now I got to learn how to sew. Now I got to learn how to crochet. Now I got to learn how to knit. Now I got to learn how to weave. Now I got to. Don't do that to yourself. One thing at a time. Master that one thing if you want to. For me, the soap making, once I got the basics, I'm like, I don't care about all the fancy schmancy stuff as long as I know how to make soap. Because all I need are those 3 ingredients and I can make soap because that's all I really need. I don't need all the scents and the colors and all the special fatty fats. I don't need all that. I just need soap. So for me, it was then moving on and tackling another thing that was scary to me. So, or fermenting. Fermenting can be very intimidating to a lot of people, even though it's super easy. And it doesn't have to be intimidating. And I don't use a whole bunch of, you got to have exactly this much salt and exactly this much, I don't do that. I just do it. Okay. So I'm not saying that's necessarily the right way to go about it. I'm just saying that's what I do. And so even if it takes you, let's say you want to master the art of just bread making. It doesn't have to necessarily even be sourdough. Just making bread, just making a yeast bread from a dry yeast. Maybe it takes you years to master it. That's okay. Give yourself some space to grow and give yourself some leeway. Some people are going to pick up things faster than others, and that's fine. We can each individually only handle so much on our plate at a time. Just like, people constantly ask me again, still at least once a week, have you written a book? Are you going to write a book? And it's like, I'm trying to learn just to appreciate the fact that people would want something I would write, but that is not something I want to do. That is not another job I want to add to my already very full plate. So, and then if you're dealing with health issues on top of that, and you got to learn how to work around those health issues, most certainly I think you need to just one thing at a time. Or you're dealing with other hard emotional issues in your life. Don't be adding so much to your plate that it ends up becoming a burden and it's not enjoyable to learn because you're not, to me, I think that's if you're not enjoying the process, it's not going to stick the same way that if you're enjoying it. Like when I first made soap, even though I was scared, it was also so enjoyable that I turn around, made another batch right away. Next day, made another batch. It's like I made 2 batches in the first day just because I had so much fun. And I wanted, okay, let's try it with this now. But that's not going to be the case for everyone. You got to learn at your own pace. You can't expect to be like everyone else. And again, another thing I try to always remind people is that any of us, I think most people who are on YouTube sharing information have had a lifetime or many years of learning and growing, educating themselves, and then building the experience. But not a single one of us, no matter what any of them might claim, know everything and do everything. Now, one of the examples I gave to this lady about, doing all the things is that I remember feeling kind of pressured, like, well, I should learn to knit too because so-and-so crochets and knits. And so I, got a set of knitting needles and, I got a book. I already had books on, crochet patterns, but one of my books already has the basics of knitting in it. I didn't even know that when I bought it. So that was cool. Cause I'm like, oh, one day I might want to do that. And then one day I just really felt pressured because it was just after I started my channel. People were like, you should learn to knit. I remember the you should. This is one of those times I kind of gave in a little bit because somebody said you should. And it was one of those things that I'm like, I'm going to stop doing something just because somebody says I should. And I started kind of trying to learn the basics. And I know I can typically pick up stuff like that pretty quickly. But as I was starting to work with it, I'm like, you know what? I already can tell this really isn't for me, at least not now. I don't have the time and the patience to tackle this when I can crochet pretty much anything I want. And I like to crochet. And I have absolutely no need or desire to learn how to knit. Can I do it? Oh, I'm positive I can. Do I want to? No. And I don't have to be like this person over here because they crochet and knit, or these people who are trying to convince me, you need to learn how to knit. You should learn how to knit. No, I don't. No, I don't. I don't need to. And no, I shouldn't. I need to do what's best for me and what I want to and need to do. That's best for me and my family, my grandbabies, my husband, my home, my chickens, my dog. Yeah, and if you're not enjoying it, what's the point? Take every failure as an opportunity to learn how to do better. And every success, that's boom, I succeeded at something. Now let's see if I can perfect that if you want to. Or move on and start something else. I mean, that's one thing at a time is so important. And the other thing is if you need to take a break from any of it, even if you love doing it and you work so hard to get where you're at, if you need to take a break, don't feel guilty. Don't feel guilty because sometimes you're going to need that break. Since last year, I was giving my gardens a rest, and it was a really good thing. And I'm so glad I did it. I was super excited about gardening this year, and I still am enjoying it. But with so much other stuff going on, I'm going to be 100% honest with you guys. My corn is struggling because I decided to just let my borage do its thing. So I decided, I'm just going to leave it because I'd like to collect a lot of seed from it. And if I don't get any corn, I don't care. I've also got a crud load of lady's thumb coming up in almost every garden. Almost every garden. And it's driving me bananas. The good thing about lady's thumb is it is beneficial. You can eat it. You can use the seeds and the leaves. I did a video on it even. So it does have uses. I actually fed a lot of it to my young chicks when I still had them caged up in the, in the outdoor section. I would throw those in there and they'd just devour them along with some of the borage. And that's the other thing I'm doing with a lot of the borage is throwing out chickens because the chickens love it. So it's chicken feed. I can save the seeds and sell them. I've dried up a lot of borage, this year to use in teas, but I've used it in soaps and other things. When I get out there to harvest something, like I'm collecting the seeds off my arnica or whatever it is, I will grab some of the lady's thumb while I'm out there and rip it out of the ground. But I have not been faithful to get out there and pull every single one out because right now I don't care. I just don't need that added stress. Now, out front where my zucchini's growing, yes, I've been trying to get out there and clean up because I got lady's thumb and morning glory and lamb's quarter, which is good. Lamb's quarter is a good thing, but too much of it. And it's starting to crowd my zucchini. So yes, I went out there and pulled that stuff away from my zucchini so it'd have space to grow. But there's a lot more I need to rip out. And I should be out there. It would take me to pull up all of the ladies' thumb that's coming up everywhere. It would take me a very long time to get it all pulled up. I don't have that kind of time or kind of patience right now. And I've been feeling kind of guilty about it. And I've decided, you know what? I'm going to stop feeling guilty about it, because it's not like I'm not doing anything. It's not like I'm being lazy. It's that I have a billion other things I'm trying to do, other things I'm trying to grow and harvest and put up. But the good thing is I'm still getting a lot of good stuff out of my garden. And so when I think about all the things that I'm already doing, why am I going to let myself feel guilty because somebody else's garden, they have the cloth down, so there's absolutely no weeds, there's no lady's thumb. And there was a reason I didn't want to do that, because I wanted my borage to come up. I didn't know where it was going to come up. And I wanted to make sure I got that. But unfortunately, that meant lady's thumb was going to come up with it. Whatever. And so when I go about, pull out another one, make a little more space, maybe I'll get a couple of ears of corn. Maybe I won't. I've decided I don't care. As long as I get my beans and when it comes to the actual vegetables, as long as I get my zucchini, my beans, my tomatoes, and my pumpkins. Oh, and my potatoes. I have one more thing I want to say on this topic. So we talked about, learning and how it's a lifetime process. But let's say we've been using this particular herb, and we think we've studied a lot about this particular herb, and we've used it for this, and we've made tinctures, and we've made teas, and we've done this, and we've done that. And so we think we know everything there is to know about that particular herb. And we might even get a bit haughty about it. And I'm saying we, because I fall into this too sometimes. And then sometimes you got to have a reality check, because there's always something new to learn. No matter how much you think you've learned about any one topic or about all of the things, you can always learn something new and something better. Maybe not about that one herb, but maybe about this one over here that you think you know a lot about. Never think that you've come to a point where you've arrived and you have all the knowledge on all the things, because I know I certainly have not. I have a ton of things I can learn, even about the herbs that I've been growing the longest and using the longest. There's so much more I can learn. There's more I could try to go back and relearn and start practicing using that in a different way. Things that I've forgotten. But sometimes just things you didn't know, you thought you knew. And we can get a little prideful and haughty. And sometimes when somebody comes along and challenges what we thought we knew, it can get our guard up. And, well, I know better because I've been doing this. I get guilty of this too. But maybe that person that's bringing this information has done a little deeper research from a different site or from several sites, instead of just picking this one little bit of information from one place. Oh, I know it all because I learned this from this one person or from this one website or from this one class. But maybe this person over here learned more on other aspects of this particular thing that you either didn't need to learn or didn't have a chance to learn or weren't taught. Maybe you know things about that this person still doesn't know, but this person might know things that you don't. So whenever you get challenged because someone threw an idea at you that you were sure, wait a minute, no, I'm sure that's wrong. Wait a minute. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I need to go do some research again and search more and search deeper. Maybe there's some truth to both sides of it. But there's a reason why there's two different opposing opinions. It's not that they're both wrong. It's that they're both based in some truth, but it's having a full understanding of that particular thing. So the point is, if you ever come to a point where you think you know it all, you're going to stagnate, just like anything else. Everything requires work. A relationship, there's always work that goes into a relationship. And if you think your relationship with your spouse or your friends or your parents that you've arrived, then you're going to stop growing, you're going to stop learning together, and the relationship is just going to stagnate. And maybe a lot of times things don't just stay the same, they go backwards. So like we were talking about education, if you're not practicing what you've been learning, you're going to lose what you've learned. You're going to go backwards. Thanks for coming in here and spending time with me. Take care, and God bless.